Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday here. It is NFL Week 3. We're taking a look at the entire card. It's the closing line for Sunday, September 23rd, 2018. I am the big man on campus here with Donnie Wright. Donnie, Week 3 NFL, getting into it, taking a look at the card. Happy Sunday.
No, look, it's a little rainy here in Philadelphia. A light, steady rain. Looks like it's going to be all throughout the day here in the city of brotherly love. So we'll see how Carson Wentz does today. A lot of interesting stuff, which means there's going to be rain in some other East Coast cities, a lot of the Washington Redskins, and another hobble quarterback, Jeff, Aaron Rodgers. So a lot of good stuff on the template today for a full Sunday of football. No bye weeks. We can have some fun and get at it. Let's pick these games apart, man.
NFL Week 3. We break them all down here. No need to ask. We'll hit them all. We got no guests today. It's just me and Donnie getting into the card here. Hopefully you've had a great weekend. You mentioned the rain in Philadelphia. We'll start out there first. Also, do me a favor, all of you out there listening, hit the like button. Say hello in the chat. Make sure you support the show and all the shows here at sbrpicks.com. A lot of great NFL content, a lot of great content really on all sports. It's going to be pumped up, I'm sure, as well. NHL getting going very soon. You got all sorts of stuff going on here at the channel. So make sure you hit up the other shows and give them some love. Donnie, let's start it out in Philadelphia. We'll start it out with the Eagles, 6.5-point favorites. Total 45. Numbers coming down as far as the total is concerned. This total was in the 47-ish, 46.5. I saw 47 most of the week. You're starting to see that come down due to some weather. And look at the weather. Steady rain. It is a large area of rain in the area. You would expect rain all day in this one. Rain doesn't necessarily affect the total. These are professionals. They know how to catch a wet ball a lot of the time. But these are, it's rain. It's not like a spotty shower too. This is going to be solid rain throughout the day. You have a large area for precipitation. So that should be a concern. You look at these teams, Donnie. A lot of injuries. Whether you look at the Eagles, whether you look at the Colts. Eagles obviously, with a ton of injuries. Most of their running backs are out. Ajayi, you got Alshon Jeffrey already out. Mike Wallace. Corey Clement is possibly questionable for this game. You have the possibility, Don, of Wendell Smallwood and Josh Adams are your starting running back for this team. You have Carson Wentz coming back. You don't want him to have to make a ton of plays. You're down to very limited skill position players. Jason Peters was hurt last week. God forbid he goes out again. You look at the other side of the ball. All sorts of injuries for the Colts as well. Costanzo's out. The tackle, Jack Doyle, Marlon Mack, Clayton Gaithers in the secondary, all sorts of injuries on both sides of the ball. I'd be honest, in these conditions, in this weather, steady rain, I think the under looks pretty solid in this football game. I don't know there's going to be a ton of points. You obviously like Wentz back and you like Luck, but I don't know. This is a tough game. I think if you're getting 7, I like the Colts, I'll be honest.
Yeah. So they're pretty much, few and far between at this point. Pinnacle posting a -6, Chris sitting at 6.5. So you're going to get right around that touchdown range. But you're right. It's, by nature of the gambler, 47 is going to come lower once people see rain. But let's also not forget this field was tarped up to about maybe an hour and a half ago. These are world-class surfaces. So just the rain itself not going to have any effect. There's going to be no wind out there whatsoever. And the interesting thing is, you would see a different game plan, Jeff. I think we would agree if you had a Darren Sproles, a Jay Ajayi available, a completely healthy Corey Clement. You're not going to go to Jalen Adams the young running back off the practice squad to bring him up, the kid from Notre Dame, and just say, we're going to give you 15 to 20 touches in the rain. I'm actually looking forward to both sides of the football here, passing a lot more, because one thing, if you know anything about football or turf conditions, the one thing that rain doesn't really technically slow the offense down. It slows down the pass rush because you can't dig in. If you're on turf, it would be no big deal because, rain on turf really not going to be that slippery anyway with some of these new field turf conditions. But I do see a lot of passing. But then again, when you say, all right, well, maybe that would lead towards a total or an over. But who's getting deep here? I understand T.Y. Hilton's a great wide receiver, but now he's coming up a little bit lame with a quad injury. The Eagles, after getting beat deep by a plethora of weapons, now you just have to zero in on one guy. It's not 15 guys that they can run across there like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did to the Philadelphia Eagles last week. So short passing game, keep the clock moving. 2 mobile quarterbacks, which again, usually is good for a total, but also can be used for an under because, Jeff, when it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 on your own 35-yard line, instead of punting, both of these guys can run for a first down or two to extend those drives, keep the clock moving out there. But it is the nature of the beast where if you do see rain, it's usually not going to go 47 higher. It's going to come lower. So now you see some 45 and a halves across the board.
Yeah, it's a tough game. If I'm getting 7, again, I think the Colts cover the game. Colts have been pretty good with Andrew Luck as an underdog. I think they can hang around in this game. I don't see anything on the Eagles sidelines that worries me right now. This is a team that's hobbled. You getting a quarterback back that hasn't played in 9 months. You have a secondary that can't really stop anybody, and that's a concern. Can they get to Andrew Luck? Yeah, I think they can. I mean, Costanzo's out. That's a big loss. If they can get to the quarterback, then obviously it's a different game. But Donnie, I'll tell you right now, if the Eagles cannot get to Andrew Luck, the Colts will cover. I mean, and the Colts can win this game. I don't think the Colts are as bad as people think, and the Eagles are not throwing anything at you right now that's a big worry to anyone. This team, though, has covered 14 of 19 at home. If I had to play this game, I'd look towards the Colts, honestly.
Yeah, maybe one of those things where you just look at the line, too, because, I mean, if 7 was available today, obviously you would take it because you would need a double-digit win by the Philadelphia Eagles. But just taking a look now, 6.5. Chris took a little bit of money there at -6.5, -115, but looks across the board, and you're right. Sometimes you got to take a look-see approach. You can't just say, hey, Wentz was probably going to be the MVP last year. He's just going to come right back and get after. But the one thing I do hasten people out there is Carson Wentz is 100% back to health at this point. He's been fantastic looking since early August. So he won't be rusty mechanically, so to speak, with his legs. He'll be able to escape the pocket and do everything he did last year. But it's just that 1 or 2 plays, Jeff, which, can decide a game where he drops back to pass and maybe he's a yard or 2 deep on out Nelson Aguilar when he has 3 or 4 steps. That's what you have to watch out for.
If you want the Eagles, inner tops, you do have to lay some juice, -125. You can get a 7 if you're interested. So there you go. Make sure you have a variety
Colts,
of different.
right?
Oh yeah, if you like the Colts, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, if you're an interest there you go. Certain books, Donnie, a couple books coming down to 6 with the Eagles.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Colts money coming in here. Let's keep it moving. So again, we start off with a tough one in that one. 463, 464. Cincinnati Bengals headed on the road to take on Carolina. Carolina 2.5. You got a total here of 44. Okay. Weather, obviously, in that area, Donnie, what do you have in there? Any weather there?
No, I don't think there's any weather conditions down in Charlotte today. Maybe a little bit overcast, maybe a drizzle or two, but I don't think anything near what's going on in Washington. Not that it's really bad weather in Washington, Philadelphia, but it's a steady light rain. But I don't think
Cincinnati coming in, Donnie, it's kind of amazing. You don't really look at stuff like this, but it's kind of weird. Both games that they played this year, 34-23. Did you know that? Did you?
I think it's the first time in history.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Run defense has been terrific. You are facing 2 teams that aren't great running the ball. I mean, Indianapolis hasn't been able to run the ball since they had Edgerrin James. Baltimore, they've been a little hobbled in the backfield. You're going to get a run game that's pretty good. McCaffrey, we know Cam can get out and run with the football. Cincinnati's been solid against the run. And this defense, Donnie, I'll tell you, coming into the season, I thought what they did in the draft, I liked Cincinnati. They went out and got a nice mixture. They have a nice mixture of depth as far as youth and veterans. You have your normal guys there, your Carlos Dunlaps and your Geno Atkins, but then you go out and get your Sam Hubbards, your Malik Jeffersons, Jesse Bates out of Wake Forest. You went out and got a nice mixture. Pac-Man Jones is gone. You're going to worry about that off the field. Perfect. We haven't heard from in a while. I think he's kind of been out anyway, but we haven't heard from him, which is good. A lot of nice mixture there. I'm looking at this game. Carolina is what they are. I don't think they're good in the secondary. Solid defense, but the secondary is what matters, and I don't think they're good there. I don't trust their offense. I think last week, though, they made us kind of believe a little bit in that offense. They were able to move the ball, but that was against a team in Atlanta that we know, a little hobbled. Deion Jones out. It's on turf. But I'm not looking to take Carolina. I don't really like this team. I don't like their secondary. I think Dalton can move the ball. Dalton's been terrific all season so far in those first 2 games. He beat a good Baltimore defense last week. I don't think we'll have a lot of problems dissecting this team either. I'm looking towards the road team here.
Yes, it's a sneaky total too, Jeff. I tweeted that out a little while ago because when you're looking from a Cincinnati perspective, you usually like to get Mixon, has that nice physicality, then you can throw it out in the flats to Gio Bernard. You only have Mark Walton and Gio Bernard active, Jeff, for this game for the Cincinnati Bengals. So maybe a little bit more passing from what we're looking for as normally anticipated between these two football teams, but also from a Carolina side, you're right. They're banged up on the offensive line and in the secondary in this one. So one would think that Cincinnati is going to say, you know what? We don't have Mixon here. Why don't we really get after it? Maybe throw the ball an extra, 10 throws where we normally would run the ball. But taking a look from Carolina, big game last week that did drop to Atlanta. Now you're coming at home. You're 1-1. You're not 1-0. Reason why we liked Atlanta last week, I thought they were sitting in a pretty good spot to beat the Carolina Panthers to avoid going 0-2. But now you come home. You're Cincinnati coming off there a little bit rested and ready. But again, rested and ready is great if your team's completely healthy. You lost your center in the game, I believe, with the in the Baltimore Ravens game. Now you're also going to lose Mixon in this game. Still waiting on Vontaze Burfict to come back. So it's not 100% on both sides. And looking at a side perspective here, didn't really have a good feel, but more and more this morning I'm looking at it, 44 is a total. We might be able to see that 44 because I think there's going to be a little bit more passing than as expected here. And 44 is not the largest total. That's the way I might even be looking towards this game, Jeff.
Interesting point. Gio Bernard might be a good fantasy option today with Mixon not being around. That might be a good look for you. But yeah, you might have a good point there, Donnie. Carolina, we know they're going to give some points up. Tennessee heading on the road to take on Jacksonville. It's an interesting one, Donnie. Tennessee getting 10 in this game, which you don't see a ton of double digits in the NFL, and you don't see a ton of NFL double digits with this game because Tennessee knocked off Jacksonville twice last year. 39 on a total in this one. Still no Leonard Fournette for the Jags. They have some injuries, but most players are back. I mean, Jalen Ramsey was hobbled a little bit. He's going to be back in there. Calais Campbell. They have some guys that are coming back. As far as for the Titans, Mariota is available. They have some injuries, though. Dennis Kelly on the line. Taylor Lewan. He's actually in there. Jack Conklin's out. Jack Conklin is out. So you have some question marks on your offensive line. Always a concern for a pretty good offensive line. You always like what the Titans do up front. Titans definitely have an edge, maybe in the intangibles with some special teams. But you look at on every other side of the ball, you would think the Jags are the better football team. But, Donnie, listen, double digits in the NFL, it's rare you get it. Titans have played real well against the Jags over the years. Maybe this is a time where they come in and get spanked, but they've covered 3 or 4. You get in double digits. It's hard to not just take the dog here.
No, and I think it's an overreaction putting that game at 10. You're going to have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who looked great last week, beating up a team that could play no defense whatsoever, the New England Patriots. But anytime you beat Tom Brady, it's a nice win, even though we know Brady does struggle on the road when he heads to Florida, whether it be Tampa Bay, Miami, or now officially in Jacksonville. They didn't look that good, but now you're flipping it over. I wanted to make sure I watched that full game, and Blaine Gabbert operated fine last week against the Houston Texans. Let's not forget, they had their top 3 tackles out last week versus the Houston Texans, and we're still able to come up with a victory here. Jacksonville not known really to push the football, but they saw an advantage that they had once some pass rushers and some key injuries happened versus New England Patriots, that they continue to shoot the ball downfield. Now you're looking at a little bit hobbled TJ Yeldon out there. No Fournette again this week. But the Titans defense is much better overall right now than the New England Patriots out there. I think Blaine Gabbert will be able to operate. If you saw a lot last week, Jeff, if you watch the tape versus the Houston Texans, they ran a ton of Wildcat with Henry in the backfield last week, which is impressive, saying, you know what? Let's not put this whole game plan on Blaine Gabbert here. And we're talking about 10 points in the NFL. Can they win by 14? Sure. They beat up the New England Patriots last week. Why can't they do it to the Titans? Interdivision battle. Both these teams know each other. If the line was 6.5 or 7 in that range, sure, I'd be looking for Jacksonville. Do I have a wager on this game? No, but that's too many points at this point right now for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'll lean on getting double digits here if it's still available, and taking a look at some of the lines out there. Pinnacle -10, -104, Chris at 10, Intertops at 10. So 10 is the prevailing line across the board. I'll take the points.
Yeah, I agree. Again, Mariota available, not starting for the Titans. He's available, but not starting. I think you're totally right with overreaction here. A lot of points.
You lost 4 points because, first of all, I like Marcus Mariota. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a competent, good NFL quarterback. But you didn't lose Aaron Rodgers in the pocket right now. It's not like Blaine Gabbert is coming in stone cold. He has some action that he saw last week and picked up a victory in conference. I don't think he's going to go out and just, completely go mayhem out there and be awful. But you're asking the Jacksonville Jaguars to pull away and win this game going away. In a division game, getting 10, I'll lean on it.
New Orleans heading on the road to Atlanta, two dome teams facing off here in this one. Numbers coming down. Atlanta down to 1.5. This number was 2.5 earlier in the day, early this morning, down to 1.5. Money coming in on the Saints in this game. I think a definite probably need at this point for the Falcons, total in the 50s. Look, New Orleans surprisingly been very good on the road, 10-5 over the last 15 against the number. Two good offenses here. We know both these teams going to whip it around. You wonder, Donnie, I mean, will the Saints defense ever get going? You hear every year how they're improved, they're going to get better. They got a new coach, they got new players, haven't been any good. They're giving up 428 yards a game, 33 points a game. Atlanta, they have some major injuries. Neal out, Deion Jones out, the best cover linebacker. Tack McKinley's out today as well, a pass rusher. Listen, this one's a square play. I know, but I think we see points in this game, 30-27, 31-28. I think the game goes over the number. Two dome teams. Listen, in the NFL with totals like this, look, if it's 21-17, cheers. I think we see a high-scoring game here. I'm going over.
No, I look, when it's usually in division games, you try to stay away from taking like over the totals because of how many times he's played and team played before. Same head coaches. I mean, they've both been around for a while in this league. But when you look at the defenses here that are going to be lining up, you're down some key cogs there. Some pass rushers down for Atlanta. Obviously, the middle linebacker, Deion Jones, out. Obviously, we know Keanu Neal already down. You're going to go against an offense that can operate versus anybody, even with a good defense, especially in a dome, the New Orleans Saints. But also some interesting matchups that you have because when you have Deion Jones, you have a super fast sideline to sideline linebacker that's not there. Maybe the single best pass catcher out of the backfield to make plays in Alvin Kamara coming at you. So that's where I would lean on this. So I think the Saints are a pretty good side in this football game to win the game. But look, it's 53. It's going, I've seen a 5 dimes post a 54 in the over. You're more likely to me to see an over because you have some weapons on both sides. You have two Pro Bowl quarterbacks on both sides. You don't have two lights out defense on both sides. You're going to have obviously good weather and a fast track being in a dome. And both of these teams also used to playing in a dome. So I can see where you're going there. But I think New Orleans is the better overall team here. I think they're going to pick up a W here in Atlanta.
Interesting. Listen, I mean, you look at both these teams. Donnie, I mean, we know the focus is generally, to throw the football with these two. You look at the last, it's actually been quite surprising. Only 2 of the last 4 have gone over. I don't know. It's a tough one. I get it looks kind of like a square play. You kind of want to say, well, that one looks like a total, looks like an easy over. We'll see. All 4 of these games are tough so far. The only one I really kind of like is the Tennessee Titans so far. Denver heading on the road to take on Baltimore, 469, 470. Baltimore 5.5, total 46.5. Baltimore coming in off that loss against the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday night, have had some extra time to prepare. Look, defensively, we know what we're going to get with Baltimore. We know what we're going to get with Denver as well. 2 quarterbacks here that you like, you don't love. Baltimore's offense, kind of the numbers a little skewed after that big win in week 1 against the Buffalo Bills. What are you thinking here, Donnie?
Buffalo Bills game? Is that what we're talking about?
No, we're talking about Denver and Baltimore.
Yeah, this is one I didn't even have my eye on pretty much this week. If you're taking a look at this football game, you're going to get some rain since obviously it is in Baltimore, the same way you're going to get some rain that is in Washington. Case Keenum, a little bit banged up of a knee injury here. 2 teams, almost like a similar type equation to me, Jeff. I know Denver won both of their first football games to win, but both at home. Now you're going on the road. Denver tends to play, obviously not as well on the road as they do at home, but you're taking a look at it from a Baltimore perspective, a little bit extra time for prepare, embarrassed on Thursday night with that football game, and then trying to get after it again here to see some of the matchups. Who's going to come off the pass rushing end? Look, you're going to face Von Miller. He's going to be heating up the pocket today. T. Suggs is going to be coming from the opposite side on the Baltimore Ravens. If I'm looking at this game here, line opened up 5.5, Jeff. Not much movement. I mean, 5.5 across the board, 46.5, which actually to me seems a little bit high here in the rain. I think both of these pass rushers can get after it. Didn't take a look side by side for these games the entire week, but if there's going to be some rain in the forecast, I'll lean on a real heavy pass rush in this one to try to keep it down a little bit. Play this game, Jeff, somewhere in those maybe low 20s, high teens in the rain here. Get some field goals, 2 good field goal kickers with some big legs in this one. So I'll lean more on the under in this one than a side.
What do you think, Donnie? 21-13? Sounds
Yeah,
pretty
I
good.
think maybe a little bit higher scoring than 21-13 in that, but maybe like that
24-7.
24-20, something like that in that range. I can certainly see that. Yeah.
Cutting it close, Donnie, there on 21 or a
Yeah.
24-20. That's a little close. 46 and a half, though, you can get it booked. So take a look around, Donnie. If you're in the market for the under in that one, could get a nice little total bump.
Yeah.
Look around. Giants headed on the road to take on Houston. This looks like the square play of the day, Donnie, to me, doesn't it? Houston, 6.5, total 44. Listen, here's the thing about the Giants. And look, I'm going to keep harping on this because I think it's very true. You win in the league in the trenches. The Giants have neither. They have no pass rush, and they have no offensive line. You would have thought bringing in Will Hernandez, bringing in Nate Solder, it's going to improve the line. It hasn't. John Jalapeno, out. Eric Flowers is a mess. You have a pretty good pass rush here coming in. Okay, you're on the road. Your offense can't move the football. You have probably, Donnie, what do you think, other than Arizona, the most pathetic offense in the league so far? Buffalo's not look good either, but the Giants have really struggled. Houston, you kind of are waiting for that signature, solid, double-digit win, but it doesn't seem like Houston ever has the ability, Donnie, to do it. They're 0-2. You feel like coming in, you had a great offense. You move the football with Christian or Deshaun Watson. You have a good offense.
Yeah.
They've struggled to move the ball. Just seems like two teams here. I got to go out of the way and say that I like Houston, but I'm not running to the window to lay almost a touchdown with them. They're a tough team to back because they always seem to play in close games. Both teams a little bit desperate here.
Yeah.
No Eli Apple for the Giants. Just a wild game here. Hard to pick, but I got a feeling a lot of people are going to take Houston in teasers and stuff, and the Giants are going to go in there and win or something.
Yeah, it's an interesting game because nothing looks good from the Giants' perspective. But the only thing that you can maybe take a little bit of solace in is you already played two teams that are technically getting after the pass rusher. You saw them against the Jacksonville Jaguars opening day in a rain. And, they didn't get beat up that bad, but Eli made one of those stupid Eli plays, which he's a boomer bust quarterback. When we talk about like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, throws the interception that goes back for a touchdown. Then they go down to Dallas. They don't really put up too much of a fight until late in the game. They finally get it going and try to get inside the number, which they weren't able to do. But sometimes when you're 0-2, Jeff, 0-3 is when you pull the plug on a team. Both of these teams are 0-2, but styles make fights in this game also. You're going to look at some changes on the offensive line. Eric Flowers gets benched for a second-year undrafted player that's going to be kicked out to right tackle. How much worse can it be? You can't get any worse than what Eric Flowers is. But now you see some of the panic mode set in for the New York Giants. So I think they're going to probably flip the script on offense, Jeff. Maybe go a little bit up-tempo today. Maybe not run the football so much. Get those 3-4-step drops out there, which we saw actually last year versus the Philadelphia Eagles when the Giants lined up with seemingly nobody at wide receiver, playing the Eagles, who technically are a good defense, and hung about 450 yards on them, going a little bit more up-tempo than they're used to. But is Eli going to take 7-step drops, with Jadeveon Clowney coming after him and J.J. Watt coming after him? No. But you have some weapons on the outside. And when you're talking about Eli Manning, if you can somewhat protect the pocket, he still has a live arm and is going to get the football downfield. Same thing with the Houston Texans when you look at it, Jeff. You have a defense that doesn't really get after the pass rusher. Now you have a mobile quarterback, and you have two outstanding wide receivers on the outside that can get deep and make plays, and also a running back that you can dump it out of the backfield in this one. You're right. It looks extremely easy here to take the Houston Texans. But hey, look, Jeff, Houston Texans last week played the Tennessee Titans without their top 3 tackles. J.J. Watt still doesn't have a sack on the season. So maybe a little bit of attrition there. Maybe it's not J.J. Watt of the 3 years ago, and we all know Jadeveon Clowney coming back a little bit banged up in this game. It's an interesting side because it looks easy, you're right, just to take the Houston Texans, but it's the NFL, and there's a reason, Jeff, why this line didn't surge past 7 or go away, because it opened up at 6. Still seeing 6 across the board.
I smell a rat in this one, Donnie. I'm looking towards the Giants. I don't know. I gotta wonder about this one, because the betting public, Donnie, the people that, hey, maybe I'm included in that at this point, the betting public doesn't want to bet the Giants. Okay. The betting public looks at what they last saw. People still think Houston is going to get it turned around. I think people have given up on the Giants. I think they see that this team defensively is not good. I think they see an offensive line that's not good. I think they see a quarterback that's old. I think they see a guy in the backfield that's great, but he can't run the ball. That's what I look at when I'm trying to break the NFL down. Why do I want to bet the Giants right now? Yet, for me, you have a number that's right there. It looks like a great play. We take the Texans. All I got to do is win by a touchdown. They're at home, blah, 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 blah. Everything about the Giants doesn't make sense here. But the line has went in their favor. In the NFL, it does not work like that. And I know people say, well, I know, Big Man, you said that about Buffalo. Look what happened. Well, okay, it's one game. Look at Atlanta last week. Same situation. Nobody wanted Atlanta. Everyone wanted Carolina. Everyone was all over the points there. They can't lose by more than 6. Look at Carolina. That's a 3-point game. I'm going to go with the New York Giants. I think they win this game today.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually some decent betting action, too, because you're getting, 52, 53% on Houston. So it's not exactly a runaway. But you're right, Jeff. When you look at Houston, I mean, what's the Bill Parcells moniker I use all the time? You already says your record is. They're not, 2-0 or 5-0 or 9-0 heading in. Both of these teams are under extreme pressure in this game.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Yeah.
It's a desperation game for both these teams. It's kind of amazing. So we'll see what happens, but I'll take a shot. I'll go with the Giants in this one. Bang, bang, boom. Let's keep it moving here. Oakland headed on the road to take on Miami.
Yeah.
Miami. How about this, Donnie? Drew Martin says Miami Dolphins fans are talking Super Bowl down on South Beach. How about that?
Maybe hosting one, sure.
Yeah. Oakland to get in 3 here, total 46. Two teams kind of going on, different ways right now, Donnie. I mean, Oakland's, lost both their games, had a shot last week, couldn't find a way to get it done. The run game is trying to get going. Passing game's actually been okay. They just had a little bad luck, I feel like. They played better than I thought they would. Miami defying expectations. I think you and I both thought, Donnie, this Miami team was better than people thought. I think defensively they're real good. I think Tannehill's just good enough. Not great, good enough. Not going to make a ton of mistakes generally. But this Miami team down in 2 games is for 6 turnovers. Okay? I mean, you got to figure that's not going to continue. I think that is a large part as to why they're 2-0 right now. They win 7 and 8 point games with 6 turnovers. That's kind of important. What do you think?
You're right about it. When you're looking at Oakland, Miami, the interesting thing about this game, I talked all week, Jeff, is you say, all right, another one of those where Oakland is 0-2. Miami is 2-0. Oakland has played a tough game going to, obviously, to Denver, and also played what some think might be the best team in football right now, the Los Angeles Rams. They lost both of those games. So, again, when you're looking at week 3 games, Jeff, you have one team with house money with the Dolphins. Look, hey, 2-0, man. You're right. They're Dolphins fans. Maybe even some of the Dolphins, Jeff, in the front office are thinking Super Bowl because they're 2-0 at this point. But we all know that's pretty much a joke. But now you're going to take Oakland Raiders, Jeff, coming from the West all the way to the East, playing a 1 o'clock game. And getting a ton of respect, Jeff. You're not even getting a full 3. Look, you have like an Intertops, -3 plus 100. 5 dimes now showing -2.5, -120. There is a surge here on the Oakland Raiders that are not coming down here to say, hey, look, let's just see if we can stay inside the number. They're not getting 4.5, 6.5, 7.5, or whatever it would be. Some of these numbers are showing up under 3. So there's legitimate thought that the Oakland Raiders can win this football game. That's what you have to watch out for. It's the reason why I stayed off all week, because I'm looking at it going, man, I really like Miami here on this side. Like the way they play football. You're right, forcing turnovers. Tannehill playing decent. You're getting Devontae Parker back in this game. A little bit added extra help there. And what have the Raiders done to show you that they can go on the road and win a football game being 0-2? But again, we know in the NFL, Jeff, jobs are lost at 0-3 in the NFL. Maybe they're leaning on a certain situational spot here, but it's just kind of interesting because this isn't a game played in San Diego or up in Seattle where it's close. This is across the country, 1 o'clock. We always talk about the body clock changing up and what time you're used to actually playing on. They're getting a lot of respect in this game.
Yeah, they are. I think you make a great point. I like the Dolphins. I like this team. You look at kind of how they play defense. It's been terrific. I think Oakland's been, look, I think they're a lot worse than they've showed. I think they're one of the worst teams in the league, frankly. I don't see a lot of talent on that team. I think defensively they've almost, overachieved a bit. I feel like they would have been given up in the 30s by now. We'll see how it goes. I kind of like where you're going with Miami here. But you're right. You lose your job over 0-3, and that's what Oakland's staring down the barrel at. Green Bay, 2.5 on the road at Washington. Another rain game here, 46 on a total. Aaron Rodgers, but hobbled. He'll head on the road to take on a Washington team that has really played well defensively so far, Donnie. But they have played Arizona, who might be the worst offense in history of the NFL right now, and Indy, who only was able to put up. They were able, they beat Indy, or they lost Indy. Indy played pretty well in that game. What do you think here? This is a tough game for me. I don't really have much on it. Washington's kind of I don't know what I think about them because I look at them and they're 1-1, but the one win was against Arizona, and they really only played really well offensively in one quarter in that game. I don't know that I trust this offense.
No, you're right about it. But here's what I like about this game. Green Bay, say what you want, miracle workers, Aaron Rodgers, oh my God, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. But their first two games, tie and a 1-point win, not that impressive. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers' knee is actually getting better. Maybe it's an RG3 type situation where you just throw a brace on it and hope you make it through the year and then you get surgery on it. But also, Jeff, now you're going on the road and not in a great environment, right? You're going to have some rain out there. That's not great for a bulky knee that you're trying to move around in the pocket. You're trying to drop back the pass. Are you worried about slipping in the pocket? Or maybe if you try to manipulate the pocket and go right or left, maybe your leg gives out a little bit because your knee is still bulky and you got a clunky brace on your knee at this point. But when you look from the Washington Redskins side here, and there's a reason why this line hasn't moved that much because, again, hey, it's hard to win on the road in the NFL and your quarterback is on one leg. And Washington's tended to play some decent football here. Didn't look all that great last week, but, losing to the Colts. But then the week before looked very good against an anemic Arizona team. But if you're in the range, Jeff, let's not talk about like a dome where fast track and you're going to expect it to be a lot of points. Not a ton of points are going to be expected to be scored in this game. But Alex Smith, isn't he the perfect mutter, Jeff? Isn't he the perfect quarterback who doesn't like to throw deep and maybe it's a lot of rain and wide receivers are slipping down? He likes to check it down, and he's got a pretty good scheme of running back. Adrian Peterson can run the football, but now you got Thompson on the outside there. Maybe you can make a few guys miss there on wet conditions. But I think Alex Smith's going to be able to protect the football and keep this game close. He's going to be able to run, scramble, and, if it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, always talk about it. Some of these mobile guys, as opposed to throwing a needle 20 yards down the field, they're just going to check it down or maybe even run for the first down themselves. This is the perfect situation here because if you had a really nice day, I think Aaron Rodgers would be a little bit more effective from the pocket, but throwing some rain, throwing some wet conditions, one team has an extremely mobile quarterback versus one that's just going to be staying in the pocket and trying to make plays. But again, you're going against the Green Bay Packers. The line is low enough where you're saying Packers just have to win the football game. But there is a reason why the public is destroying this line in the Green Bay favor, and it's not moving off of that 2.5 and even losing a little bit of steam out there. I didn't bet this game, but it's one of those contrarian plays where I looked to that said it would be the Redskins or nobody here because of the conditions and the way this game sets up.
Great breakdown. 477, 478. Bills headed on the road to take on the Vikings. Vikings, 16.5 total, 41. Donnie, over the years, teams have been favored at closing by 16.5 or more. I believe they're 60%. They have a small win percentage, but it's really almost break even for these dogs or favorites. Minnesota, those covered 13 of 17. They have covered 2 in a row as a favorite of 10 points or more. They haven't been a favorite of 14.5 or more in a long time. So we'll see how they rack being a big favorite like this. But, obviously Buffalo coming in, the chances are bleak in this one. You've only scored 11 points a game. You're giving up almost 40 points a game. And that obviously has to do with your inability to get stops at all. I mean, you've given up 47 and 31 in 2 games. And you're getting a team in here that is pretty damn good. This is definitely the best defensive team you're going to face. Minnesota could pitch a shutout in this one, Donnie. What do you think? I mean, a team that has had some tough games to start the season. I mean, you get Green Bay and San Fran, 2 good quarterbacks, obviously one great quarterback and one that could be great. No LaShawn McCoy in this one. I mean, the prospects are bleak here for Minnesota or for Buffalo against Minnesota. I'm going to say this is like a 24-6 type of game. I think Minnesota roll.
This is interesting because you have one of these games that, to me, doesn't really mean much here. Does anybody think the Bills are going to go on the road and win this football game? I don't think so. From a Vikings perspective, you have the showcase of all showcase coming up next game on the road, going and playing the Los Angeles Rams in Los Angeles. Now, you're also taking those, approaches to this game where maybe you don't want to grind people into the ground or run it. Dalvin Cook, who I called last week, who he said he had a cramp. He didn't have a cramp. He pulled his hamstring, so he's going to miss this game, and he'll probably be in danger to miss the next Thursday night game, depending if he can get back on the practice field. But then you look at it from Buffalo, Jeff. Same thing we talked about earlier this week. The point of running Shady McCoy out here with banged up ribs against a team you're not going to beat on turf, who has a very good defense, that didn't make any sense. So he's going to sit this game out. But what is your philosophy, Jeff, if you're the Buffalo Bills coming on the road here? You know you're a bad football team. You're probably going to be destined to get a top 5 pick, maybe even the number 1 overall pick. You don't want to get your young quarterback killed in these situations, and you can't just turn around and say, hey, Shady, let me give you the ball 25 times, and we'll just see if we can make it out of here. He's not going to be there. So where are the weapons on the outside that you can actually say, you know what, Buffalo, forget about scoring points. Let's take a look at first downs out here and where we're going to get them from and how we're going to protect our young quarterback in a tough environment. Initially in the week, you saw the line, setting up, opened up at what, 17? Now you're seeing it get down to 16, but then you get that little buyback today. You see, no, they'll show McCoy in this game. They should be able to go out and run out to a lead and do whatever they want. But it's all a matter of which team is going to play to which team's, implications. Are the Buffalo Bills just going to throw it out the window like you would from a lowly NCAA football team going to play a powerhouse where you just don't want to get hurt? Or are you going to say, you know what, let's just play it to the end and see how we figure this out? And if the Vikings run out to a nice lead, do they have any incentive to run them up the flagpole 35-0? Are they going to play it closer to the vest, not put anything on tape? Hey, guys, we got the Rams next Thursday night on the road. Let's not get hurt and hand the football off and just get out of town with a 14-point win. That's what you have to determine. I have no interesting side to even go over in this game because it's way too far. I'm not going to lay 16.5 in an NFL football game, but at the same time, you want to see, Jeff, can the Bills get to 17? I guess they're going to need to cover this point spread.
Yeah, I think I will lay it here. You look at Buffalo, Donnie, 44% completion percentage, and I know people will say, "Well, big man. I mean, they play they put Baltimore as raining." I mean, look, it's the NFL. I mean, 44% completion percentage. You can throw a college quarterback out there, and they could throw better than that. 65 for Minnesota. Minnesota also. Look, defensively are terrific. Also, Donnie, keep in mind, Buffalo allowing opponents to throw for over 75% through the air.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not even coming in healthy on defense. Like, what is Buffalo even bringing to the table today? Maybe under Rex Ryan, you could say, their defense is going to just blitz repeatedly. Maybe we'll get a turnover, get a couple stops on third down. You're not even bringing an offense or a defense here in this game.
Yeah, I'll say I'm going to go 27-0.
27. Oh, a shutout?
Yes, Minnesota. I mean, Don, I'm looking at this game, and maybe you get one of those random, pick sixes or kick returns.
But don't you think they can score late though? Like, even let's just say this game is a blowout because, I have an idea that you play on Thursday Night Football on the road next week. Like, you're just hoping your guys can escape and get out of there. I doubt if it's 21-0 in the fourth quarter, they're bringing the house and have all their starters. Well, look, that's the way I just say it.
I hear you, and that's a good point. But I mean, they didn't do it against Baltimore. I mean, they just literally said, "All right, well, we'll just run our offense, I guess." Mm-hmm. I mean, look, I don't like Josh Allen. I made that very clear. I don't think this guy is a quarterback that's going to have a lot of success. He can't do a lot of things that NFL quarterbacks have to do. But hey, we'll see. Getting that under 16.5. I mean, if this game's 24-0, I mean, I'm feeling okay because I don't got to worry about a backdoor. We'll see. What do we got here? Let's keep it moving.
Yes.
San Francisco taking on Kansas City. Good game here. Two good quarterbacks. Mahomes has obviously defied a lot of expectation already. They're laying 6, total 53.5. Donnie, what do you think about this one? Mahomes, obviously, you have to figure, should continue his ways. I mean, this is not a particularly great San Fran defense. Two teams that love to throw it around, two teams that love to go up and down the field. I have had some injuries for that San Francisco game, but San Francisco gets back Marcus Goodwin, it looks like, here today, which is a big gainer today. Donnie, I'd be honest with you. I like San Francisco in this game. Mm-hmm. I think they hang around in this one. I think it's a shootout. I think it's a fun game. I'm confident, my boy Jimmy G. I like that, getting back some weapons today. You got Richard Sherman in there healthy on the defense. Reuben Foster's probable. His suspension's over. You are a little concerned, Josh Garnett, the guard, out today. But I'm looking at this Chief defense. I'm not overly concerned about them.
No, if you look at it, Jeff, because if you say San Francisco here, and I'm a little bit higher on this team than maybe the casual fan would be. Like the way they went and played Minnesota, even though they lost, didn't even cover the spread. Like the way they play up to the fourth quarter against Detroit when they had that game in hand and seemingly almost blew it. But that's a young football team with a younger head coach and a young quarterback who doesn't have a ton of starts under his belt. They're going to get better. They're going to be in a tough environment here today. home opener for the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to be on fire, their fans. They're thinking Super Bowl. We got the next greatest thing at quarterback. But let's not forget what's going to take place here for the San Francisco defense, Jeff. I mean, when you look just at the linebackers, Malcolm Smith, Reuben Foster, both coming back for this game. How do you have like Pro Bowl caliber players, two of them going to come back in the same game when they've already been getting quality play out of the young middle linebacker that they've been using for the first 2 games in the season? They're going to be able to spread the football around. Goodwin is coming back today, I believe, at wide. I didn't see the latest updates there on the things, but I didn't see any updates that indicated that he was going to be out. And there's been a line move, Jeff. Opened up 4.5. You saw that spike all the way up to 6.5. Some like +7s out there. Heavily juiced, but now you're seeing the buyback in the market there, going back to 5.5 at Pinnacle, 6 across the board, 5 dimes also was 5.5. And I tend to agree here because if you look at the games that Kansas City has played, there is an MO. They can score on offense, but they also can get scored upon on defense. Some of these games come down to, Jeff, it's not about just winning the football game you think Kansas City can win. If Kansas City has a 10-point lead late with 3.5 minutes to go, I'm under the impression Jimmy G can go down the field, dinking and dunking his way down and make a touchdown out of that to put it at a 3-point game. That's what we have to look at in this. I agree with the line move. Early in the week, I really wanted to take Kansas City, say, man, they're really heating up. But some of those outliers come back and say, look, they're getting a little bit of guys back and healthy. Their best wide receiver, as we said, and also 2 capable, really good linebackers are going to be back in the mix in this one. So maybe they can slow down Kelsey over the middle. Maybe they can slow down Hunt out of the backfield. I agree with the line movement here. I do. I like San Francisco, same as you.
Who's more likely to get a stop in this game when you need one?
Yes, it's San Francisco. I think now that they have the 2 linebackers back, I think their defense overall is better. Now, Mahomes has been, that's the reason why I didn't say, hey, let's just lay the wood. And I really like San Francisco because sometimes you don't want to step in front of that freight train like you're going to look at the Rams that we're going to go over in just a couple minutes. But I do see the contrarian value in getting around a touchdown with San Francisco.
Should be interesting. I'm gonna lean towards the Niners in this one.
Yeah,
getting 6. Let's go down to 4:00 games, Donnie. We got about 20 minutes here. Chargers headed on the road to take on the Rams. Not really headed on the road, though.
Long way, John.
Long way, yeah. It's like going from Philadelphia up to the Liacouras Center. Not far. South Philly to Liacouras, not far. Chargers, Rams, total 49, 7 for the Rams. This looks like another fun shootout here. Should see some points in this one. 2 teams that can whip it around. The Chargers are going to come in here excited about this one. Scored 30 points a game, have had trouble getting stops. Joey Bosa. He's still out. He's definitely out.
And his brother.
Donnie, who said that? Joey Bosa. You know who said?
No, actually, I do know who said it, but it's slipping my mind right now. And that it was the Cuz, right?
Shout out to the Cuz.
Yeah.
Who got canned on Friday. Shout out to Anthony Gargano. South Philly is in the building. Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa, by the way, Donnie, grandfather was a big mob guy in Chicago.
Ooh, I don't know if you know he's got the last name for it, right?
Yes, Bosa. What do you think in this one? I'm thinking over. I think a lot of points are in this one. Both the offense is very good. I don't love the Chargers defense at all. I mean, Rams a bit better. Tough number here. I mean, Rams have played Oakland and Arizona, Donnie. Okay, so let's remember and recap who they played. Oakland and Arizona. This is a test here. I'm looking towards the dog in this one also.
No, and look, I'm going to disagree with you on this one
right.
because I just think, and again, I'm surprised by you, Jeff. You are Mr. Like you should have a tattoo of the Rams from last year on your shoulder. You know what I mean? Like you were the Rams backer. You led the charge and said the Rams are going to be good.
I know. And I did lead the charge. I was 100% right. I thought this team, and look, I still think they're really solid. I just look at both games this season. They haven't been necessarily tested yet. Phillip Rivers plays close games. I mean, Donnie, do they ever get blown out, seemingly? I know they lost by 10 to Kansas City, but, I mean, I don't know. This just seems like a game where it's close. It's a fun game.
No, and you're right. And sometimes you have to read the tea leaves and read the lines because theoretically you would say, wait a second, I'm going to get that Chargers offense out there. I'm going to get Phillip Rivers, and I'm going to get a touchdown, maybe even more in this game, depending where you shopped around and got it at. Intertop's -7.5 plus 100. -7.5 plus 115 on 5 dimes. But it looks like the prevailing line out there is roughly 7. What's not to like about getting a veteran team who we all thought possibly could challenge for the AFC West and is a good football team? And again, they're not going far. This isn't a huge home field advantage, Jeff. You're not going to Arrowhead or you're not coming across the Lincoln Financial Field or playing, up in the Meadowlands. You're basically going to be at home in your normal weather conditions on a nice field. And you don't have a home field advantage anyway when you play in technically your home soccer stadium either. But looking at this game, I just think it's one of those where I don't see how many stops the Chargers are going to be able to get on defense versus this Rams offense. Gurley humming, Goff humming. I think the single best play caller in the entire NFL, Sean McVay, calling the punches out there. Elite wide receivers, elite cornerbacks. They have a pass rush that can get home against an older, aging Phillip Rivers. Is Phillip Rivers going to make plays in this game? Sure. But I've seen it where the Chargers are going to charger. And we all know what that means. Missed field goals key early. Strip sack fumble on Phillip Rivers, or he throws one of those lollipop balls up in the flat because he doesn't have that arm strength he had about 5 to 6 years ago. Or maybe a big catch in the end zone that they're going to drop that you should have actually caught. I like the line in this. You're right. If you're just looking and say, boy, I'm going to take 7, I'm going to roll with it. Hey, look, that's your prerogative, what you can do. But I think this line is set appropriately right. I think the Rams can get this done by double digits.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously on two ends here, Donnie. Someone's going to win here. You like the Rams. I like the Chargers. Mm-hmm. We'll see how that goes. But I think the gunslinger can hang around. We know what Phillip Rivers will do. We know he can hang in games. Look, I'll take a shot here. I think it's a fun game. I think it's like a 31-27, 31-28, something like that. Let's keep it moving. Bears, Cardinals. Bears 6, total 39. I mean, look, Arizona can't move the football. I mean, I don't think it's not going to get any easier either. I mean, Chicago's a good defense. Chicago's limited opposing running backs. You got to figure David Johnson will struggle a bit here. But even if he goes off, I mean, is anyone else going to do anything for Arizona offensively? Listen, I hate to say it, but I mean, you have Larry Fitzgerald as your top receiver. I mean, great player. Yeah, great player, Hall of Famer, but I mean, he's 35. I mean, there's no surprise that this offense stinks. What do you think here? Chicago seems like a public side.
It's a very public side. It might be one of the most public sides you're going to see this week because you say, well, all right, if you watched Arizona versus Washington, who does have a decent defense, completely shut them down. Then they go on the road and play again, maybe the best team in the NFL, who completely shut that down. And you have a quarterback that's not really learning at this point, right?
Donnie, where the fuck is Rosen? Put him in.
No, look. Maybe maybe Jeff, I think they're actually being pretty smart here with Arizona because I keep yelling the same as you to put Rosen in. Did you want to put him in against the Rams where you're going to be down like 20 points and he's going to get killed?
No, but
now hold on. Do you want to put him in against Khalil Mack in this Bears pass rush just yet? No. Maybe they're being really smart with their investment long term because I scream I want the young kid the same way. I came on this channel and said Tyrod Taylor is an absolute straight bum at quarterback. Let Baker Mayfield get out there, and that was proven obviously true. Let your young guys get after it, but sometimes, like when you look at the Buffalo Bills starting their young quarterback on the road. Look, there's going to be some pain in there, but I think Arizona's just saying, look, we paid this crash test dummy out here with long sleeves. $20 million. Let's just let him get into a few crashes and we'll see if we can sort of string some things together until Rosen can take over. But looking at this game, Jeff, just capping it here, look, you want to be contrarian. You want to say, Arizona, everybody's down on them. Let's take Arizona. But what do you have to look for? I mean, I know you have Patrick Peterson, right? We all know that. And Mitchell Trubisky's young. He's going on the road. And can he now play with the lead and win by 7 or 10 points on the road? We'll see that. But what gives you confidence that Arizona is going to be able to move the football and possibly win this game? Because I don't have it right now with them.
Yeah, I mean, I know this, again, we talk about square plays. Does this look like a square play? Yeah, but I mean, I really don't believe at all that they can get any stops. I mean, you look, Donnie, at Arizona. I mean, the offensive line's actually been pretty good. I mean, they're 9th in the league as far as sacks allowed. They're only allowed about 1.5 per game. Yeah. The worst team in the league as far as that's concerned is the Seattle Seahawks. They've given up 6 sacks per game in 2 games. So, yeah, I mean, Arizona's actually been quite good in the offensive line. Andre Smith out, I believe, in this game, though. Look, I give Rosen a shot. It can't be much worse. You got to do something. This team has scored 6 points in 2 games. They can't run the ball. I mean, where's David Johnson, Donnie? Is he alive?
I don't know. Yeah, you should be just trying to get that guy the ball. I mean, you paid him, right? So now you can run him into the ground, and he doesn't have any problem with it because, again, you paid him. But Sam Bradford just looks like a horrific quarterback back there. And again, you get back to the old man Larry Fitzgerald, competent, good wide receiver, but now he's dinged up with a hamstring. And it just looks like the season's going nowhere. But then having said that, Jeff, watch it be 21-14 Arizona final score, which I would get a good chuckle out of on that.
I hear you, but keep in mind, last week Arizona in total yards 137.
Yeah.
Those are like numbers you see when like Morgan State plays like, Ohio State. It's like they score 70 yards in a game. It's like, Christ, man. Listen, I hate to be square, but Chicago looks pretty good. I like this Bears team. Solid group. Like their defense. Dallas heading on the road to take on the hapless Seahawks. What a mess this team is, Donnie. Seattle. What the hell is going on with Earl Thomas?
I don't know. I don't know. And you know what, Jeff? On my card all week long, I circled this game and go, you know what? Here's a get-right game for Seattle. They look awful, but let's take a look at the situations that they played. Both on the road, tough environment that you're going to play up with the Denver Broncos against a good Denver Broncos team. Then you're going to get an excited home opening crowd for the Chicago Bears, who almost pulled up the upset over their arch rivals, the Green Bay Packers, and didn't do it. That was a tough environment. Now you're going to be able to get home. You get a little bit healthy. You get Bobby Wagner back in the lineup. You get the 12th man out there. You're going to be going crazy. And then all of a sudden you start reading stuff coming out of Seattle about Russell Wilson, checking out of plays that the offensive coordinators called, and Pete Carroll's not happy with that. And boy, he's trying to do too much at quarterback. And then you see him added like midweek to maybe a strained hamstring or a twitch in his hamstring, but he should be fine for this game. And they say, okay, you know what? I still think Seattle's going to be okay. And then you don't get any reports early in the week on Earl Thomas that he skipped a practice early in the week, then didn't even show up and then came late and sat out the Friday walkthrough practice. Is one of the more important practices of the week to go over the game plan. And then you're saying like he wants to go to Dallas. Where's his head at? Where's the whole team's head at, Jeff? Because they're one loss away from just putting the detonation button out there and trading Earl Thomas and just saying, you know what, let's just live for another day and we'll get some draft picks and try to rebuild the offensive line and go forward with Russell Wilson over the next 5 to 10 years. It's hard to put your money behind that situation, even though you're looking on it just on its end or his end and say, wait a minute, it's a pick'em game in Seattle. Why wouldn't we just take Seattle? And I hear your point on that, but this team is swirling with nonsense right now.
I'm taking Dallas here.
I can't fault you.
Here's a big problem also. Ethan Pochich out, the center. That's a concern. You look at KJ Wright, he's out still. Earl Thomas, he ain't going to play in this game.
He's going to play, but does he even care?
Yeah, that's the thing. So, basically he doesn't care. He's not going to play. So, that's an interesting point. But you look at Sean Lee, Donnie. Here's a big concern, though. Sean Lee will play, but he's got a hamstring problem. We know what this team is without Sean Lee. Defensively, they just seem to falter without him. I don't know why. Maybe they've gotten better, though. I think Dallas goes in and wins. I thought they looked pretty good last week, frankly, against the Giants. They were able to move the ball a little bit. Ezekiel looked good at times. But then again, they look pretty weak at times as well offensively. It's a tough one. It's a pick for a reason. It's a coin flip. The total's in the 30s. Do you take the bait down and say this is 20-13 all day?
It doesn't look it, but then again, you have two quarterbacks, Jeff, who seemingly should be able to get out of the pocket and extend plays. But then again, you don't have Doug Baldwin. You don't have, 2 years ago, Des Bryant. There's not a lot of weapons to go for other than let's keep it close, run RPO schemes out here and hand the football off and just see where we end up. But it screams, you're right, somewhere to be played in the low 20s to high teens. But when you bet into a 39.5, sometimes you probably can't even watch the game, right? You just turn it off and try to check the final score because it would be maddening every time somebody got a first down. You're worried about them scoring.
Yeah, but it's low for a reason. These two teams not very explosive. I think Dallas is going to get to that line today. That's a pretty good defensive line for Dallas. A couple of injuries. George Fant was hobbled this week at practice. We mentioned Pochich is out. I think Dallas is a pretty solid play. I think they go up and beat Seattle. Seattle is a shell of what they once were. 487-48, the late game, 8:20. New England and Detroit. How about that, Donnie? New England not getting money here. Sharp money looks to be on Detroit. The public is not betting this game yet. They'll wait till later in the day.
I don't know. I got 83% on New England at this point.
But why is the line going down?
No, I'm not saying which line is right there.
Sure,
but
public's betting.
I think the public identified this early in the week as oh my God.
Oh yeah, sure. The public that's betting this game, and I'm sure money will come in. I feel like if you like the Lions, you might wait a little bit. I mean, wait till
Yeah, exactly. Your point is you're more likely to see a 7 than you would
sure.
maybe like a 5.5 or a 6. I agree with
For
that point.
sure, for sure. And if it goes to 6 or 5.5, then it's kind of interesting. What do you think here, Donnie? I mean, I was told many years ago, don't bet against the Patriots. I don't do it very often. This isn't really a spot I want to start either.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's tough, but you see what can happen when you have a bad defense. This isn't New England Patriots, Jeff, that's just going to snap their fingers and get that defense right. They're still banged up and injured. Some of the best pass rushers out, guys in the secondary are out. And if you watched last week, I think we can all agree the Jacksonville offense is not a fine-tuned machine through the air, and they did whatever they wanted in the air. We know Matthew Stafford's a gunslinger out there. He's going to be throwing it left and right, licking his chops at what he saw last week, which brings me to my point. The line opened up, I guess it was an error at Pinnacle, Jeff, at 45.5, but Chris opened up at 50. That line sits at 55 for an NFL game. And to me, I still think there might be a little bit of value, Jeff, on taking the over in that game because who's stopping anybody here? Stafford's great for a total. Boom or bust. Interception or deep throw on a dime for a touchdown. And we all know Tom Brady's going to move the football. Neither of these teams seem to be able to stop anybody on the ground. So both of these teams should move the football in this game left and right. You know me, Jeff. I'm not into really laying 6.5 or 7 points on the road, but there's something to be said about the Patriots getting embarrassed and coming back on the road. We know Bill Belichick doesn't want to lose to one of his predecessors out there, so we'll see what happens. But from more of a side, it's square as hell to take that over, but I can just see some points in that game. Can you see like a nice, 21-10 at the half, and then they go in the second half, and next thing you know, some teams playing into the 30s and high 20s, and some teams down 10 points late. Both of these quarterbacks, if anybody's down 10 late, Jeff, they're punching in a touchdown.
No, you're right. Listen, at this number, Patriots, got to go with it. All right, Donnie, that's it for the games. We did it in 56 minutes. How about that?
Bang, bang.
Each game breakdown. Donnie gets his points across. Donnie, what do you think? Let's get through it here. What do you think?
Yeah, here's what I'm going to. You know what? I'm going to go that contrarian side today, Jeff, with 2 plays early. We'll see if we maybe scrape one up for a later game in there also. But I'm going to lean on the Washington Redskins getting 2.5 in the early football game here at 1:00. I just think in the rain, I think Alex Smith can do enough to keep this game close, and maybe it comes down to a field goal at the end. I'm going to lean on the Washington Redskins in this football game, and then I'm going to do one of those games, Jeff, that you have to hold your nose, but you think your first indication is right. And we talked about it earlier, Jeff. Give me the 10 with Tennessee.
Good call. I'm going to go with Los Gigantes plus 6.5. Can I get a 7 out there, Donnie? Can I get a fucking 7?
Are we in the buying points, Jeff? Because I would love to buy a half point in Washington, but we can't do that.
Listen, let me tell you. Let me tell you something. If you buy points, you're a fucking hack. You shouldn't be buying points. Stop doing that.
I mean, sometimes, yeah. Now there is sometimes where there's 3s out there, and you pay a little juice for the 3, like -3, -115, because that's the line. But you're right. Long term buying points. And I always like to say it like this, Jeff. I get asked this question a lot. Hey, the line moved. 1, 2, or 1.5 points.
Now look,
still go. If you missed based on 1 or 2 points, you probably didn't cap the game effectively, right?
Now, I will say this: if you're selling points,
not
a bad idea. I mean, if you can get some extra, I like to do those sometimes. Donnie, people talk about win totals. Some books you can do that where you can sell a win or sell a win and a half and get plus 280 on a win total. That's the way I'd bet a win total. I'm not buying points. Listen,
sometimes it works. It feels good too because you only remember when because remember if you bet like let's just say you have 100 wagers in, Jeff, right? And that one time that you bought the hook and it worked, that's enough for like a lifetime. You know how you go down and you throw like a two-way yo out there and it comes up 11, or if you throw in any craps out there behind it, you get these, oh, look at that. And then you keep doing it. There's a reason why they want you to bet those bets continuously out there because you're not going to make money on them long term, but you will remember the one time you threw the yo out there with the any craps and it came up snake eyes and you were a genius for doing it. And then you lost the next 15 rolls on that. So
sure. I'll go with the Giants plus 6.5, and I'll take the Dallas Cowboys, 2 NFC teams at a pick 'em against the Seahawks. We'll be back at halftime. Join us for that. We'll throw out some news and notes from the first hour of or first half of NFL games. We'll talk about some halftime plays. Donnie, we've actually done pretty well on this show. Let's hope it translates to the other side. These shows obviously have been good, of course. I mean, it can't ever be good, though, when we need them to be good. But the great show, Donnie, nonetheless. Great info, as always. We'll be back at halftime. Join us for that. Have a great day.